Welcome to WorkSpan TV. I am Lenny Sanicola with World at Work. Today we will be talking about benefits communications. In the studio I have Karen Macke from the Hartford. Karen is a current member of the Benefits Advisory Board. Welcome, Karen.
Thanks, Lenny.
Well, let's get started. Total rewards and benefits communication has always been challenging to employers. What would you say are the biggest challenges today with communications?
Oh, I think there are a number. I think first thing is it's one thing to get good quality communication out there. It's another to ensure it's read and people understand what they're reading. I think one thing you've got to consider as a challenge also is dependents. A lot of times on medical plans, for instance, dependents are very involved in those programs. How to effectively reach them. You also have challenges with how much information goes out. There's a lot that is sent to employees. If you're sending via email, for example, they get lots of communication. How do you distinguish yours and make it stand out from everything else so you ensure that it's read?
There are some effective ideas or new ideas in the communications that you would recommend to employers?
Well, I would recommend, one thing we did, and it worked very well for us, was that we started branding our materials. And by that, we have a little icon that we place on all of our communications. We've just started inserting it into the subject line of email messages. And that helps visually make it pop for employees. Hey, this is something about the rewards organization. And they can know to go look at that and read it, and it's about something that they generally have interest in. Another idea that we launched, then we pulled back on, and we're about to relaunch, is a broad electronic total reward statement. And by that I mean it's going to show the employee their current base pay, their bonus, their long-term plan, as well as each of the benefit programs they're enrolled in, and what the company contributes on their behalf. Again, one-stop shopping for them, aggregate information all in one place.
You mentioned total reward statements. Have you done paper statements before and now moving to electronic?
Yeah, we've done both electronic and paper statements. And the electronic statement we pulled back on just because the information was starting to be a paper snapshot as opposed to a real-time kind of electronic version of today, here's what my 401k balance is, as opposed to a year-end 401k balance. So it's a lot more real-time, a lot more live what we're going out with.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about return on investment. One of the things with any kind of communication initiative is being to measure the success of that. So a couple of questions here is, how, number one, do you attempt to measure whether your communications program has been successful, and what kinds of advice would you have for other employers that are looking to kind of improve or at least measure their ROI on their programs?
I would say there are a couple of different approaches I would consider. One is an approach where, it's a challenge first to get ROI. I would say to you, you've got to have some sort of metrics in place, okay? Because it's one thing for me to say, I've got this great quarterly benefit statement, okay? It's another thing to know how well it's read or if it's read. For example, if you have it electronically on your internet site, you can get measurements on how many times employees are out there hitting that website, and you can also get specific numbers on individuals that are hitting the website. So that's a good metric to have in place. I think other challenges you have, though, are, cost, how effective was the communication. One thing that can help you, if you have a targeted, customized communication on a certain area you're trying to tackle. One example we had was around newborn babies. Oftentimes, if you have family health insurance coverage, you forget to ask that newborn as a dependent. Then on down the road, if they have health claims, all of a sudden you didn't have them covered. That feels so counterintuitive for the employee. I've already got family coverage. There's no change in cost. Why do I have to get my newborn signed up? And it often, or at times, it's a common thing to have fall through the cracks. We measure our claims appeals data as well as we look at claims that were denied with respect to newborn babies. Targeted communication goes out and we measure them against the past practice. So that's another way you can see the return on investment. You spent this much on this targeted communication. How effective was it in changing the results?
Do you think more and more employers today are focusing on targeted, personalized communications?
I think that's really going to be a great trend of the future. When we talk about customized communications, you already see some of that out there. You see, for example, 401k accounts. You can look at participants and you know, hey, this person doesn't participate. And the communication or the website link that they go to about benefits talks about the importance of communicating in the 401k plan. Another participant who maybe participates but doesn't get the full employer match, they get a different message when they go to that website. They will get information that talks about maximizing the employer match, and if they'll contribute X% more, they'll get the full company match. They're leaving money on the table. That's one example. On the healthcare side, you already see customized communications going for people who maybe have diabetes or asthma, and you see concentrated efforts to help them with their care to help minimize their personal health issues related to that diagnosis, as well as to help the company control their costs. I think what you're going to see in the future, Lenny, is you're going to see us using social media in a much better way. I think right now companies are out there trying to figure out, and they want to be out there on social media, but how effective is it and what is it really reaching? And I think as companies are right now out in that initial phase of using it, they're starting to kind of refine their thinking around it and get, you know, I think you'll see a lot of growth in that area.
Is your organization looking at social media for benefits communication?
We absolutely are. We're looking at a couple different areas. One area we're looking at is it's going to be like an employee service assessment, okay, which is going to be a site or a chat room where employees can go in and they can talk about, hey, I have this Hartford product, which is considered a benefit in our world, okay? Works well, doesn't work well. Here are the issues. Hey, I have this healthcare situation, and again, you got to be very careful with data privacy, and so this is one of the areas we're looking into, by the way, because you don't want to go out there and have a situation that will create other problems for you. That said, you know, here are good providers in this area if you have a broken arm. They work really well with kids. So we're looking at how to best use kind of information sharing just between employees. Another area that we're looking at is just we, like many companies, are having a huge wellness launch right now. We have kind of fun. We're right in the middle of a huge walking challenge between departments, and so there is some Twitter information going on. We have tweets because teams are challenging each other and kind of a little bit. I don't want to say strong trash talking, but a little bit of that going on between the teams, and so we're using that as a way to kind of promote the walking program that is. It's a 10-week program that's currently going on, but also to get some engagement from employees as well. We don't have all the answers yet, but we are exploring. Yeah.
Well, in closing, Karen, if there was one piece of advice that you would give to employers in terms of how best to improve their benefits communication initiatives, what would that be?
Well, I think I would say look for the effectiveness of your communication program. Are employees hearing your messages? And you'll know that by improved results that you get. Meaning, you know, is the issue you were trying to address improving? I would say look at that, look for creative ways to get that message out there, not just the standbys of email and the internet and hard copies. And I would also say to you, you know, make sure you're measuring and monitoring your information because you'll see real trends and be able to better customize your messages.
Well, thank you, Karen. I appreciate you sharing your time and expertise with us today. For WorkSpan TV, I'm Lenny Sanicola.